I'll take you to court and ask for full custody. Courts favor mothers. My ex-wife declared after a decade of silence, leaving me to raise our baby alone. She wasn't ready for the truth I brought to court. So this is happening and I'm still trying to wrap my head around it. Sorry if this is long, but I need to get this out somewhere. 10 years ago, my ex-wife Chloe just vanished. Like, literally disappeared one day while I was at work. I came home to find all her stuff gone and a note saying she couldn't do this anymore. Our son Liam was barely walking, just 10 months old. I spent weeks trying to find her, calling everyone we knew, checking with family, even filed a missing person report. Nothing, she was just gone. The backstory matters here. We met in college, got pregnant during our senior year. I was already lined up for a decent entry-level job in consulting. She was studying graphic design but hadn't finished her degree when Liam came along. We got married quickly, moved into a tiny apartment, and honestly, those first few months were hell. I was working 60-plus-hour weeks trying to prove myself at the company, coming home to a crying baby and a wife who seemed to be disappearing a little more each day. I tried everything. I took overnight feedings, did all the grocery shopping, cleaned the apartment, tried to give her time to finish her portfolio for graduation. But she kept getting more distant, more resentful. She'd make comments about how I got to escape to work while she was trapped with a baby. I suggested she go back to school part-time, offered to pay for a nanny, but she'd just stare at me like I didn't understand. Maybe I didn't. The night before she left, we had a huge fight about money. I'd gotten a small bonus and wanted to put it toward Liam's college fund. She wanted to use it for her to go back to school full-time. I said we couldn't afford childcare and tuition right now, maybe in a year when my salary increased. She screamed that I was sabotaging her future and trapping her in this life. I went asleep on the couch that night. When I came home the next day and found her gone, part of me wasn't even surprised. But the note, God, that note. I can't be the mother you want me to be. I can't be the wife you deserve. Liam will be better off without me. Don't try to find me. See, fast forward to 3 months ago. I'm picking up Liam from school. He's 10 now. Crazy how time flies, and there she is, standing by the fence like she never left. My stomach literally dropped through the floor when I saw her. She looked good. Older obviously, but put together. Designer jeans, perfect makeup, hair that cost more than my monthly grocery budget. Liam didn't even recognize her, and honestly, that broke something in me I didn't know was still breakable. And do you know what she said when she came up to where I was standing? She wants to reconnect with Liam, and she's talking about custody. Custody. After 10 years of complete radio silence. Here's what's eating at me though, I'm not heartless. I know kids need their mothers, and I've always been honest with Liam about why mommy wasn't around in age-appropriate ways. Part of me still loves the woman she used to be, the one who cried happy tears when Liam took his first steps, who would spend hours reading to him even when she was exhausted. But this woman standing at the school fence, she felt like a stranger wearing Chloe's face. For context, yeah, I've done okay for myself since she left. That entry-level consulting job. I busted my ass, worked every weekend, took every assignment, got promoted 3 times in 5 years. Started my own firm when Liam was 7, and now we're comfortable. Not rich, but comfortable. Liam goes to a good school, we take nice vacations. He's got everything he needs and most of what he wants. The thing is, she's not asking about HIM. She's asking about custody schedules and fair arrangements, and what kind of support I'd be providing. When I mentioned Liam's been in therapy to deal with abandonment issues, she brushed it off and changed the subject to logistics. I told her we needed to take this slow, let Liam process this, maybe start with supervised visits if she was serious about being in his life. She got mad. Started going on about her parental rights and how I couldn't keep her from her son. Like, lady, I didn't keep you from anything, you left. You left a 10-month-old baby and a husband who was drowning trying to keep everything together. Am I being unreasonable here? Part of me wants to tell her to back right off after what she put us through. But another part keeps asking, what if Liam really needs his mother? What if I'm being too harsh because I'm still hurt? What if she really has changed and I'm denying my son a chance at having a complete family? The appointment with my lawyer is next week. Liam doesn't know about any of this yet because I don't want to get his hopes up if this is just another one of her disappearing acts. He's been through enough. Anyone been through something like this? What would you do? Edit, I've already started documenting everything. Screenshots of her texts, notes from our conversations. My lawyer buddy told me years ago to keep records just in case this day came. Smart man. Update 1. Posted 10 weeks ago, you guys really called it. Every single person who said this was about money was absolutely right, and I feel like an idiot for even hoping this might be genuine. It's been 6 weeks since Chloe first appeared at Liam's school, and every day feels like a month. My lawyer filed for emergency temporary orders that prevent her from taking any action regarding Liam until we can have a proper hearing. The waiting is killing me, but at least it's giving us time to build our case and figure out what the hell we're dealing with. I've had 3 meetings with Chloe over the past month and a half, and each one has been more revealing than the last. The first was at a coffee shop downtown. I suggested neutral ground. She pushed for somewhere more private to really talk. Red flag number 1, but I ignored it. She started off asking about Liam's school, his interests, whether he remembered her at all. She even teared up talking about missing his childhood. For about 5 minutes, I actually thought maybe I was being too cynical. Then she started talking about her situation, and the whole vibe changed. Apparently, she's been living in California for the past 8 years, tried to make it as an actress, I know, biggest eye roll of my life, then worked various jobs in the creative industry. She's currently between opportunities and staying with a friend in LA. She mentioned how she's been thinking about Liam every day but needed to get stable first before reaching out. Here's where it gets manipulative. She had this way of making me feel guilty for being successful while she struggled. You've done so well for yourself, Roger. I'm proud of you, really. The house, the business, Liam's opportunities. It's everything we dreamed about back in college. It's just hard knowing Liam's had all these advantages while I've been barely scraping by, you know. When I asked about the 10 years, like, where was this maternal instinct when Liam was crying for mama every night for months? She got defensive immediately. Roger, I was 21 years old with a baby and a husband who was never home. I was drowning in that tiny apartment with no friends, no family nearby, no future. I made a mistake leaving the way I did, but I was young and scared and overwhelmed. I'm here now trying to fix it. You can't hold my past against me forever. I pointed out that abandonment isn't just a mistake. She left no forwarding address, no way to contact her, no financial support, no explanation beyond a single note. I was 23 years old too, working 60-hour weeks and coming home to a crying baby and formula to mix and diapers to change and a mortgage I could barely afford. But you figured it out, she said, and there was something in her voice. You built this whole life. You got promoted, started your own company, bought a house in a good school district. You made it work. That's when her mask slipped a little. She started talking about fairness and how Liam deserves both parents and how it wouldn't be right for there to be such a disparity in his living situations. She kept circling back to equal responsibility and balanced arrangements while barely mentioning Liam's actual emotional needs. I think 50-50 custody would be fairest for everyone, she said, and the way she said it like she'd rehearsed it made my skin crawl. Liam gets equal time with both parents and we both contribute equally to his upbringing. It's what's best for him. The whole conversation felt like a business negotiation, not a mother wanting to reconnect with her child. Meanwhile, Liam's been asking more questions about everything. Nothing direct about his mom. He doesn't even know she's back yet, but about our life, our routine. Dad, will things always be the same with just us? Do you think other kids' moms come back after they leave? It breaks my heart every time because I can see him trying to process the concept of having a mother who exists but isn't present. Yesterday he asked me, Dad, is it okay if I don't want things to change? I told him his feelings were valid and that no matter what happened, I'd always be his dad and nothing would change that. Then I went to my room and cried for 20 minutes because what if something does change? What if the courts decide she has rights? What if I lose him? My second meeting with Chloe was at a restaurant. She was late, which should have surprised me but didn't. She spent the first 10 minutes apologizing and explaining how traffic was terrible and her friend's car was acting up. Then she ordered the most expensive thing on the menu and somehow forgot her wallet. During dinner, she asked detailed questions about Liam's school, not about his favorite subjects or whether he was struggling with anything, but about tuition costs, what programs they offered, whether it was one of those fancy private schools. She asked about our house, our neighborhood, what kind of car I drive. When I redirected the conversation to Liam's personality, his fears, his dreams, she'd nod politely and then steer back to logistics. She asked if I'd ever considered moving to California for Liam's opportunities. Said the schools out there were probably better, more diverse, more creative programs. I pointed out that Liam was settled here, had friends, a life, a routine. She said kids were resilient and adaptable. My lawyer says to keep playing nice while we build our case, document everything. Don't give her any ammunition to claim I'm being hostile or uncooperative. But honestly, every interaction makes me more convinced this isn't about Liam at all. The third meeting is tomorrow. She's insisting we need to establish a timeline for introducing her to Liam and formalizing arrangements. I've got my phone ready to record everything. Thanks for all the advice, Reddit. You saw this coming from a mile away and I should have listened from the start. Edit. For those asking, yes, I've called Liam's school. She can't pick him up without my written permission, period. They have security protocols for situations like this. Some of you suggested hiring a PI. I'm actually considering it. Legal fees are already eating into Liam's college fund, but what choice do I have? I need to know what I'm really dealing with. Update 2. Posted 6 weeks ago. This keeps getting worse and I'm starting to realize how naive I've been. I hired a PI like some of you suggested and the report came back last week. It's not the smoking gun I hoped for, but it paints a picture that made my blood run cold. First, the financial stuff. Chloe's situation isn't just between opportunities. She's financially screwed. The PI found public records showing multiple lawsuits from landlords and creditors over the past 2 years. She owes back taxes to California, has unpaid medical bills, defaulted on a car loan, and was served with papers for property damage and unpaid rent just 3 weeks before she showed up at Liam's school. The timing isn't a coincidence. She's been in serious financial trouble for months. Then suddenly she remembers she has a son whose father has done well for himself. Her social media was mostly private now, but the PI managed to find older posts from 2 to 3 years ago showing a lifestyle that definitely didn't match someone struggling to get by. Expensive restaurants, weekend trips to Vegas, designer handbags, beach vacations. Zero mentions of having a son anywhere. Her bio on Instagram still says, "Living my best life." No drama, no stress. What really got me was a post from about 8 months ago where she shared an article about financial independence after divorce, with the caption, "Never too late to get what you deserve." The PI couldn't prove she was researching custody laws specifically, but the timeline tells the story. I confronted her about some of this during our third meeting last week. I asked her directly about her financial situation and whether that was influencing her sudden interest in custody. The reaction was immediate and telling. She completely lost it. Started yelling about how dare I question her motives, how I was being controlling and manipulative just like I always was, how I was trying to poison her relationship with her son before it even started. She actually accused me of financial abuse for making her feel bad about her situation. "You think just because you got lucky and made money that makes you a better parent than me," she screamed. "You think you can throw your success in my face and make me feel like I don't deserve my own child." I stayed calm, kept asking reasonable questions. Where was she living? What was her plan for stable housing if she wanted regular custody? Did she have a job lined up? That's when she said something that made my blood run cold. "If you don't agree to shared custody voluntarily, I'll take you to court and ask for full custody." I'm his mother, Roger. Courts favor mothers, especially when the father is clearly hostile to reunification. I spent 10 years answering my son's questions about why his mommy left us, telling him that sometimes people make choices that hurt us, but that doesn't mean they don't love us. And now I'm hostile. I recorded that conversation, by the way. One-party consent state, and my lawyer advised me to document everything. The legal process is moving slowly. Family court doesn't rush these things, which is probably good for us. We're looking at another 6 to 8 weeks before the main hearing, maybe longer if her lawyer requests delays. My attorney filed a motion to prevent her from making any custody claims until we can have a full evaluation. The stress is getting to me more than I want to admit. I'm snapping at everyone, my employees, my parents, even Liam sometimes, which makes me feel like absolute shit. I've always prided myself on being patient with him, never letting work stress affect our relationship. But this situation has me on edge constantly. I check the locks on our doors twice every night now. Jump when the phone rings unexpectedly. Find myself scanning parking lots and crowds for her face. I hate that she's made me paranoid in places that used to feel safe. Liam's therapist says this uncertainty is often harder on kids than bad news sometimes. He's been having nightmares again, not about Chloe taking him away, but about me leaving him. Had to reassure him 3 times last week that Daddy's not going anywhere, ever, no matter what happens. This isn't about being bitter anymore. This is about protecting my son from someone who sees him as a financial opportunity, a means to solve her problems. But proving that in court is going to be the fight of my life. Some days I look at Liam, really look at him, and I see the baby I rocked to sleep every night while his mother was God knows where living her best life. Other days I see the 10-year-old who still asks me to check under his bed for monsters, who trusts me completely to keep him safe from everything scary in the world. I won't let her destroy that. I can't. Edit, for those asking about the recorded conversation, my lawyer has it documented along with everything else. We're building a comprehensive case. Final update. Posted 3 days ago after 3 months of legal proceedings that felt like 3 years, we finally had our day in court last week. The hearing wasn't the dramatic showdown I expected from watching too much Law and Order. Everything was professional, methodical, almost boring in its formality. Chloe showed up with a lawyer who seemed competent enough, but clearly hadn't done his homework on our specific case. My attorney came prepared with everything we'd gathered over the past 3 months. The judge was a middle-aged woman with the kind of neutral expression that gives nothing away. When she questioned Chloe directly about her motivations and plans for parenting, that's when things got interesting. Chloe's answers kept returning to themes of fairness and equal financial responsibility, rather than Liam's emotional needs or her desire to actually parent him. When asked about her 10-year absence, she stuck to her rehearsed script about being young and overwhelmed, but couldn't explain why she never attempted contact once she was supposedly more stable. When asked about her specific plans for parenting, she talked in vague terms about providing opportunities and equal living standards, but couldn't answer basic questions about Liam's current interests, academic challenges, or emotional needs. The recorded conversation where Chloe threatened to seek full custody was played in court. Her lawyer tried to argue it was taken out of context, but when you hear someone say, "Courts favor mothers," especially when the father is clearly hostile to reunification, in response to reasonable questions about stability and living arrangements, the context is pretty clear. Liam's therapist testified about the emotional impact of abandonment on children and the potential trauma of forced reunification with an unstable parent. She explained how Liam had worked for years to develop secure attachment despite early abandonment, and how disrupting that could cause significant regression. The financial evidence painted a picture of someone in crisis making desperate decisions. Multiple evictions, unpaid debts, no stable employment history, and a pattern of borrowing money from friends and family. The social media posts showing expensive lifestyle choices while claiming financial hardship didn't help her case. When it came time for Chloe to make her final statement, she started strong with prepared remarks about growth and second chances. But then she went off script and started talking about how unfair it was that I had everything while she had nothing, how the system was biased against mothers who made one mistake. The judge's expression remained neutral throughout, but I caught the slight pause before her next question when Chloe said benefit from both parents' resources. That moment felt significant. The ruling was everything we'd hoped for: no custody rights, no unsupervised visitation. If Chloe wanted any relationship with Liam at all, she had to complete court-ordered parenting classes, undergo psychological evaluation, maintain stable housing and employment for a minimum of 6 months, and prove consistent sobriety. Even then, any contact would be supervised and limited, with the option for Liam to refuse visits if he chose. Chloe didn't have the complete meltdown I expected, but she got increasingly agitated as the ruling was read. She kept trying to interrupt until her lawyer physically placed a hand on her arm. As we were leaving the courthouse, she managed to get close enough to hiss at me. "This isn't over, Roger. There are other ways to get what I deserve." I looked at her, really looked at her, and realized I wasn't angry anymore. I felt sorry for her. She'd never understand what she'd lost because she'd never really wanted it in the first place. The victory felt hollow somehow. Yes, we protected our life and our routine, but Liam still lost the possibility of having a mother who actually wanted to be his mother. That's a wound that legal victories can't heal. I finally told Liam about everything 2 days after the hearing. I'd been dreading this conversation for months, but his therapist and I agreed it was time. I explained that his biological mother had come back and wanted to be part of his life, but that the court decided it was better for him to stay with me for now. His reaction was more complicated than I expected. He was quiet for a long time after I finished explaining. Finally, he asked, "So she's not coming back?" When I confirmed that she wouldn't be disrupting our life, he nodded and went back to his homework. Later that night, I found him in his room, not crying but looking confused and sad. "I'm glad she's not taking me away from you," he said, "but I still don't understand why she left in the first place. And why did she only want me back now?" I explained that sometimes adults make choices for complicated reasons that don't have anything to do with love, and that none of it was his fault. He hugged me tight and said, "You're enough family for me." But the emotional aftermath is ongoing. He's been having some regression, more clingy than usual, asking for extra reassurance that I'm not going anywhere, wanting to sleep in my room again sometimes. Liam's therapist says it's normal for children to need extra security after threats to their stability, even when those threats are resolved. The financial cost was significant too. Legal fees, high costs, missed work for court appearances, it all added up to about $15,000, money that was supposed to go toward Liam's college fund. But what choice did I have? Some things are worth any price. This isn't the fairy tale ending I might have wanted when this all started, but we're safe, we're stable, and we're moving forward together. Liam asked yesterday if we could donate the stuffed elephant he's kept all these years, the last physical reminder of his mother. He said he doesn't need it anymore because he knows I'm not going anywhere. I ugly cried in the garage for about an hour after that conversation, but they were good tears. Healing tears. We are planning a trip to Disney World next month. He wants to go on all the scary rides because, as he told me, we're brave, right, Dad? We can handle anything together. Yeah, kiddo, we can handle anything together. Edit. For those asking about appeals, my lawyer says it's possible but would be expensive for her and unlikely to succeed. We're prepared either way. Liam's doing well in therapy, and his teacher says he seems more relaxed in class lately. Kids are resilient when they feel secure and loved. I'm pregnant. We're going to be parents, my girlfriend beamed, just as I sat down to end the relationship. She refused to let me attend a single appointment. What I found on her laptop made my blood run cold. So this happened 2 days ago and I'm still processing it. I don't even know where to start, but I need outside perspective because I feel like I'm going crazy. Emily and I have been together for about 14 months. Things started great. She was fun, spontaneous, gorgeous, everything I thought I wanted. Those first few months were incredible. She was supportive when I was stressed about work, always down for adventures, and the chemistry was amazing. But over the past few months, I've been noticing things that made me uncomfortable. She quit her part-time job about 6 months ago, saying it was too stressful and the manager was creating a hostile work environment. At first I was sympathetic. Nobody should have to deal with workplace harassment. When I brought up later that maybe she should find something else, she'd get upset and say things like, "I thought you loved me," or "real men take care of their women." Since then, I've basically been covering all our expenses. Rent, groceries, her car payment, everything. I make decent money as a software engineer, but supporting two people wasn't what I signed up for when we started dating. Every time I tried to talk about finances, she'd either cry or get angry, saying I was being cheap and didn't understand how hard it was for women in the job market. It escalated gradually. She started expecting me to pay for everything: her nails, shopping trips with friends, expensive dinners. If I said no to anything, I was selfish and didn't really love her. She'd compare me to her exes, saying her last boyfriend never made her feel bad about spending money. The final straw was last weekend. She spent $800 on clothes without telling me, then got mad when I was upset about it. She said I was controlling and that couples share everything. But it only went one way. She never contributed anything. When I pointed this out, she accused me of keeping score in our relationship. I've been planning to have a serious conversation about our future. Honestly, I was ready to end things. The woman I fell for had turned into someone I didn't recognize, someone who felt entitled to my money and time without giving anything back. So Tuesday evening, I asked her to sit down because we needed to talk. I was nervous as hell, but I knew it had to be done. But before I could even start, she got this weird smile, like she knew something I didn't. "Actually, I have something to tell you first," she said, and pulled out a pregnancy test from her purse. Positive, 2 pink lines, clear as day. She was just beaming, practically glowing, saying, "I'm pregnant. We're going to be parents. Isn't this amazing? I've been waiting for the right moment to tell you." My stomach dropped through the floor. I just stared at that test, feeling like my entire life had just been decided for me. She was already talking about baby names and how we'd need to start looking at bigger apartments, and I couldn't process any of it. Here's where I feel like shit. My first thought wasn't happiness or excitement. It was trap. The timing felt too convenient, right as I was about to have the talk. The way she was watching my face, like she was gauging my reaction. But then I felt guilty for even thinking that. What kind of person suspects their girlfriend of lying about being pregnant? "I know it's a lot to process," she said, squeezing my hand. "But we're going to be such good parents. I can already picture our little family." Then she started talking about how this changed everything, how we needed to start planning for the future, how she'd obviously need to focus on the pregnancy instead of job hunting. I managed to stammer something about how surprising it was, how we'd need to talk about everything. But she was already 3 steps ahead, talking about doctor's appointments and prenatal vitamins, and how we should probably move in together officially since we'd need space for the baby. Since then, she's been showing symptoms: morning sickness, being tired all the time, suddenly being picky about food. She's been texting me constantly about pregnancy cravings and how hard it is to function. But every time I mention wanting to go to a doctor's appointment with her, she shuts it down immediately. "You lost the right to be involved when you were planning to abandon me and our baby," she said yesterday. I was completely dumbfounded. How did she even know I was thinking about breaking up? I never said anything, never gave any indication. "I could see it in your eyes," she claimed. "A woman knows when her man is checking out." She said she can't trust me around medical appointments until I show I'm all in. She's scheduled her first prenatal appointment for next week, but I'm not invited. I've been walking around in a daze for 2 days. My mind keeps going back and forth between guilt and suspicion. Part of me thinks I'm being paranoid and awful for questioning this. If she really is pregnant, then I need to step up and be a man about it. But something in my gut is screaming that this doesn't feel right. Am I crazy for feeling suspicious? Is this just cold feet about becoming a father? I don't know what to do here. I feel trapped and guilty and confused all at the same time. Edit. Holy shit, this blew up. Reading all your comments, and a lot of you are saying things I was afraid to think myself. Going to process all this advice. To everyone asking, no, I haven't seen any actual medical confirmation, just the home test. She says she has an appointment next week, but I'm not invited. Update 1. Posted 2 weeks ago, you guys freaking called it. Every single person who said something was off, that I should trust my gut, you were right, and I was an idiot for ignoring my instincts. So here's what happened. Last Thursday, Emily said she had her first prenatal appointment. I asked again if I could come with her. I said I wanted to be supportive, that I was sorry for my initial reaction and wanted to be involved. She went into this whole speech about how I'd shown my true colors, and she couldn't trust me around the baby yet. She needed to protect herself and our child until I proved I was committed. That me wanting to come to appointments now was too little too late, and she needed time to see if I was really going to step up or if I was just acting out of guilt. The manipulation was so obvious once I started looking for it. She left for the appointment around 10 a.m., saying it might take a while since it was her first visit. She was gone for about 3 hours. When she came back, she had this whole story about the appointment, how the doctor said everything looked good. They did an ultrasound. The baby was measuring perfectly for 6 weeks. She even had a printout that looked like an ultrasound image, all grainy and black and white. Said the doctor gave her prenatal vitamins and scheduled her next appointment in 4 weeks. But here's the thing, I've been documenting everything since my last post, just writing down what she says and when. The timeline doesn't work. When she first told me she was pregnant, she said she was about 4 weeks along. But then at this appointment, suddenly she's 6 weeks. I tried to do the math backward from when we last had unprotected sex, and none of it lines up properly. Either she was pregnant before she told me and lied about how far along she was, or the dates at this appointment were wrong. When I asked her about the timeline, she got irritated and said pregnancy dating is complicated, and I wouldn't understand. Also, I started actually watching her symptoms instead of just accepting them. The morning sickness is conveniently always when I'm around to see it, but I came home early from work twice this week and she seemed fine. No nausea, eating normally. The second I walk in the door, suddenly she's running to the bathroom. The weird pregnancy cravings she keeps texting me about. I've never actually seen her eat any of the foods she claims to be craving. The food aversions change depending on what's convenient. Suddenly she can't stand the smell of coffee when I'm making it in the morning, but I've seen her drink coffee when she doesn't think I'm paying attention. The weirdest part was Saturday. We went to the grocery store and walked past the baby section. I expected her to want to look at stuff, get excited, start planning. Instead, she seemed uncomfortable and rushed us past it. When I mentioned maybe looking at cribs online later, she said it was too early and got irritated. Sunday night, I tried a different approach. I sat her down and said I was sorry for how I reacted initially, that I was just scared, but I'm ready to be supportive now. I asked if we could go to the next appointment together, that I wanted to see our baby and be involved. She got this panicked look for just a second before covering it with anger. Said she'd think about it, but I needed to prove myself first. Then she launched into this whole thing about how I need to show I'm financially committed, maybe look at bigger apartments, start buying baby stuff, show that I'm taking this seriously. It hit me then. Every conversation about the pregnancy somehow circles back to money. Not about her health, not about preparing emotionally for parenthood, not about our relationship. Just money. More money for rent, money for baby things, money for her because she can't work while pregnant. I'm starting to see a pattern I was blind to before. The job loss right around when I was getting serious doubts. The increased spending and entitlement to my money. The pregnancy news right as I was about to end things. The the refusing to let me come to appointments. All of it feels orchestrated. My buddy Jake, who saw right through her from the beginning, pointed out something else when I told him about all this. She's been posting on social media about being pregnant, but in this weird, vague way. Like blessed and excited for this new chapter, and so grateful for this little miracle growing inside me, and can't wait to meet you, baby. Nothing specific, no due dates, no details about appointments or symptoms. Just enough to get sympathy and congratulations from people who don't know the full situation. When people comment asking for details, she responds with things like trying to keep some things private during this special time, or don't want to jinx anything. I feel sick thinking about this, but I can't shake the feeling that she's been playing me this whole time. If I'm wrong, I'm the worst boyfriend in the world. But if I'm right, then what the hell do I do? How do you even confront someone about faking a pregnancy? I'm going to try to go to the next appointment with her whether she likes it or not. If there really is a baby, I'll see it on the ultrasound and know I've been an asshole who needs to make serious amends. If there isn't, I don't even want to think about that possibility. Edit, the messages I'm getting are split between trust your gut and you're a monster for doubting a pregnant woman. I get both sides, I really do, but something isn't right here. For everyone asking about the ultrasound picture, I looked at it more closely and it doesn't have any identifying information on it. No doctor's name, no clinic logo, no date, no patient name. Shouldn't that stuff be on there? Update 2, posted 1 week ago. I can't believe I'm typing this. I'm still shaking and it's been 3 hours since I kicked her out of my apartment. Emily has been lying about everything. There is no baby. There never was. The whole thing was an elaborate manipulation to keep me from breaking up with her. I found out by complete accident. I had to leave work early today because of a migraine, so I came home around 2 p.m. instead of my usual 6. Emily's car was in the parking lot, but when I got to the apartment, I could hear her in the bathroom talking on the phone. Her laptop was open on the coffee table. I wasn't trying to snoop, I swear. I was just moving it to sit down and the screen woke up. There was a browser window open to some website selling realistic pregnancy bellies for theater and costumes. She had one in her cart, a fake pregnancy belly for $89.99. I just stared at the screen, feeling like the world was tilting sideways. My brain couldn't process what I was seeing. Then I heard her coming out of the bathroom and I quickly moved away from the laptop. She seemed nervous when she saw me home early, asking why I wasn't at work, if everything was okay. I told her about the migraine and asked how she was feeling. She immediately launched into complaints about morning sickness and being tired, how the baby was really active today, and making her uncomfortable. I watched her perform these symptoms I'd been worried about for weeks, and it was like seeing a magic trick once you know how it's done. The way she put her hand on her still flat stomach, the way she winced slightly like she was experiencing discomfort, the way she sighed and said she needed to lie down because the pregnancy was taking everything out of her. It was all an act and I'd been falling for it completely. I managed to keep it together until she went to take a shower. The second I heard the water running, I went back to the laptop. The browsing history was all there and it went back weeks. Fake pregnancy bellies. How to fake pregnancy symptoms. Fake ultrasound pictures. Making morning sickness look real. She'd been researching this for over a month, probably since right around when I started having doubts. There were forum posts about using pregnancy to save relationships, tips on timing the revelation for maximum impact, how to avoid doctor's appointments, how to make symptoms look convincing. One post made my blood run cold. Make sure to drop the news right when you think he's about to leave. The shock will buy you time to convince him to stay. Another, don't let him come to early appointments, say you need time to trust him first. By the time he gets suspicious, you can claim miscarriage if needed. I took photos of everything with my phone. I wanted evidence because I knew she'd try to deny it or claim I was making it up. When she got out of the shower, I was sitting on the couch with her laptop open to the website. She saw it and went completely white. For a few seconds we just stared at each other. Then she tried to lie her way out of it. Said she was looking at that stuff because she was paranoid about her pregnancy, wanted to understand what was normal, that she was scared something was wrong because she wasn't showing yet and was looking up ways to feel more pregnant. It was complete bullshit and we both knew it. I asked her point blank, "Are you actually pregnant?" She started crying, saying I was being cruel and paranoid, that she couldn't believe I was accusing her of something so horrible. She put her hands on her stomach and said, "How can you doubt this? How can you doubt our child?" So I told her to prove it. Take a pregnancy test right now in front of me. If she was really pregnant, it would be positive and I'd apologize for everything and spend the rest of my life making it up to her. She refused, said it was humiliating and degrading, that she shouldn't have to prove anything to me. She said making her take a test was abusive and controlling, that I was showing my true colors. That's when I knew for absolute certain. If she was really pregnant, she would have taken the test immediately to prove me wrong. Instead, she was using emotional manipulation to avoid providing proof. I told her to get out. I said I knew about the forum posts, about the whole plan. She completely broke down, admitting everything between sobs. She said she knew I was going to leave her and she panicked. She could feel me pulling away over the past few months and she didn't know how to fix things between us. She thought if she was pregnant I'd stay and we could work on our problems together. She said she was going to tell me the truth eventually, then focus on rebuilding our relationship. Or maybe she'd try to actually get pregnant for real once I was committed to staying. The manipulation was unbelievable. She tried every angle to get me to forgive her, saying she did it because she loved me so much, that she was scared of losing me, that people do crazy things when they're desperate not to lose someone they love. When that didn't work, she got angry and said I was heartless, that I never really cared about her anyway, that this proved I was the selfish person she always suspected I was. She said if I really loved her, I'd understand why she felt desperate enough to do this. Then she went back to pleading, saying we could work through this, that everyone makes mistakes, that this could actually bring us closer together if I just forgive her. I just kept repeating that she needed to pack her things and leave. I couldn't look at her anymore. Every word out of her mouth was just more manipulation, more lies, more attempts to control the situation. I gave her 2 hours to pack her stuff and get out. She kept trying to negotiate, saying we could work through this, that everyone makes mistakes. I just kept repeating that she needed to leave. She finally left around 7 p.m., still crying and begging me to reconsider. I've been sitting here since then, just processing everything. 3 weeks of agony, thinking I was going to be a father, questioning my own sanity, all because she didn't want to face the consequences of being a shitty partner. The worst part is how she almost had me convinced I was the problem, that I was selfish and unsupportive. Even when my gut was screaming that something was wrong, I felt guilty for not trusting her. She's probably been planning this since she quit her job and started bleeding me dry financially. I'm done. Completely done. I've blocked her number and I'm changing the locks tomorrow. If she tries to contact me through other people or shows up here, I'm calling the police. Edit. She's been calling and texting from different numbers. I'm not answering any of them, but I'm screenshotting everything in case I need a restraining order. She just showed up at my apartment crying and begging. I didn't answer the door and called building security. They escorted her out but said she seemed really distraught and asked if I was sure I didn't want to talk to her. Jesus Christ. Final update. Posted 3 days ago. This is my final update on this whole nightmare. The Emily situation is finally resolved, but it got worse before it got better. After I kicked her out last week, she went completely unhinged. She started contacting my friends, family, even my coworkers, telling them I abandoned her and our baby. She painted this whole picture of me as a deadbeat dad who threw her out on the streets when she was pregnant and vulnerable. My mom called me crying, asking how I could do such a thing. My sister was furious with me before I could explain. Several coworkers were giving me dirty looks. Emily had crafted this whole sob story about being scared and alone, and everyone bought it. The worst part was she posted on Facebook about it. A long, emotional post about being a single mother-to-be because her boyfriend couldn't handle the responsibility. It got shared dozens of times. People I barely knew were commenting about what a piece of trash I was. I realized I had to tell the truth publicly, or this was going to destroy my reputation forever. So I made my own Facebook post. I kept it factual and calm, explained that Emily had admitted to faking the pregnancy, that I had evidence of her researching fake pregnancy products, and that there was never actually a baby. I posted screenshots of her browser history from her laptop. I'd taken photos before she came back from the shower. I also recorded our final conversation where she admitted everything, so I had audio proof. The response was immediate and brutal. Everyone who had been attacking me suddenly went silent. The friends who had taken her side were apologizing within hours. Her own friends started commenting that they'd had suspicions but hadn't wanted to say anything. Emily lost it completely. She tried to claim I'd fabricated the evidence, that I was weaponizing technology against her. But too many people had seen the proof, and her story completely fell apart. She started harassing me through different phone numbers and social media accounts. She showed up at my apartment building twice more, once screaming in the lobby that I'd ruined her life, until security escorted her out. I finally had to file for a restraining order yesterday. The hearing was surreal. She actually tried to argue that she'd only lied because she loved me so much. The judge was not impressed, especially when I presented evidence of the harassment, the false statements to my family and coworkers, and her continued attempts to contact me after I'd told her to stop. I got the restraining order. She has to stay 500 feet away from me, my apartment, and my workplace. She's also not allowed to contact me directly or through third parties, and she can't post about me on social media. I'm doing a lot better now. I'm back in therapy working through the emotional abuse I didn't even realize I was experiencing. I've reconnected with friends Emily had slowly isolated me from. My family understands what really happened and they're supportive. Most importantly, I'm not angry anymore. I was furious for the first few days, but now I just feel sorry for Emily. She destroyed our relationship, her friendships, and her reputation because she couldn't handle the idea of being accountable for her actions. That's actually really sad. Thanks to everyone here who helped me see clearly when I couldn't trust my own judgment. I'm done with updates now. Time to focus on building a healthier future. Edit, for the people asking about Emily, as far as I know she's moved back in with her parents. I don't keep tabs on her and I don't want to know. The restraining order is in place, and that's enough for me. During those 6 months when you were drinking, I had an affair. My wife confessed, 4 years after I got sober and we built a new family together. She begged me to stay. But the secret didn't end there. My wife just confessed to a secret that's been eating her alive for 4 years, and now I don't know if our entire marriage has been a lie. I'm sitting in my car outside a gas station at 2 a.m. because I can't go home right now and I need to tell someone what just happened. My wife Lana and I have been married for 8 years. And for the first half, I genuinely thought we had a solid marriage. We always talked about having kids, tried for about 2 years, and then found out I'm infertile. That was 4.5 years ago and it completely destroyed me. I'm not proud of this, but I fell into a really dark place. I started drinking heavily, barely came home, and basically abandoned Lana emotionally for about 6 months. I was so wrapped up in my own pain that I didn't even consider what she was going through. She was dealing with the same loss but had to watch her husband fall apart completely while she held everything together. We eventually got through it together. I went to rehab. Attended every AA meeting I could. Fought for my sobriety. And after I got sober 4 years ago, we decided to look into adoption, and things seemed to get back to normal. We ended up adopting 2 siblings through my parents' connections. They work with foster care. The kids were 4 and 6 when they came to us about 3.5 years ago, and they're 8 and 10 now. Having them in our lives helped us heal and move forward together. But 3 days ago, Lana came home from work acting strange. She was quiet during dinner, barely talked to the kids, and when they went to bed she said we needed to talk. She started crying before she even said anything. Then she took a shaky breath and said, "Mike, I need to tell you something. During those 6 months when you were drinking, I had an affair." I just stared at her. "What?" "It was with someone from work. Sarah from HR. It lasted about 3 months and I ended it completely when you got sober. I even requested a transfer to a different department." I sat there like an idiot. I couldn't process it. An affair with a woman. I know how this sounds. I had no idea I was even capable of. I'd never experienced anything like that before and I haven't since. "Are you kidding me right now?" I could hear my voice getting louder. "What the hell, Lana?" She was sobbing now. I was so lonely and desperate during those months. When Sarah started paying attention to me, listening to my problems, offering comfort when you wouldn't even look at me, I got caught up in it. But it ended when you got sober. I swear to you, Mike, it ended then. But when the timeline finally hit, that's when the real knife twisted. "So you've been lying to my face every single day for 4 years. Playing happy family with me and our kids while carrying this secret. I wanted to tell you so many times, but I was scared." She paused, taking in a breath. "Maria's death last week. It made me realize life is too short to carry this burden. I can't live with the guilt anymore." "So you're telling me now, after 4 years of lies?" I was pacing now, couldn't sit still. "Why now, Lana? Why now?" "Because you deserve to know the truth." "Because I love you and don't." I held up my hand. "Don't you dare say you love me right now." Part of me wishes she'd never told me because now I can't unknow it. Every happy moment from the past 4 years feels fake now. I haven't slept in 3 days. I keep replaying every moment from those years, wondering what was real and what was a lie. I keep looking at our kids and wondering if I can even stay in this house. I moved into the guest room and I can hear her crying at night. I know I wasn't innocent during that time. I was a terrible husband for those 6 months. I was drunk, absent, emotionally unavailable. But I never stepped outside our marriage. I never betrayed her trust like that. I never made her question reality for 4 years straight. The kids keep asking why mommy and daddy are sad. What the hell am I supposed to tell them? That mommy had an affair with a woman while daddy was drinking himself to death. That our entire family is built on a lie. Is this something marriages can survive? How do I even begin to process this? I feel like I don't know my wife at all. Edit. About the timeline, the affair was 4 years ago, lasted 3 months, and she told me 3 days ago. Yes, I've been sober for 4 years now. The kids don't know anything yet and I'm trying to keep it that way. To clarify, yes, I know my drinking was a problem. I know I messed up and I take full responsibility for that. I've been sober for 4 years now and I'm not trying to justify what I did during that time. But I also don't think my drinking justified cheating and lying for 4 years straight. For those asking about Sarah, she left the company about a year after the affair ended. Lana says she doesn't know where she is now and has had no contact with her since ending things. Update 1. Posted 2.5 months ago. I've been staying at my parents' house for the past 2 weeks while they're watching the kids, and I went back yesterday to get answers. Lana looked terrible when I got there, like she hadn't slept or eaten in days. Part of me felt sorry for her, but then I remembered why we were in this situation. We sat down at the kitchen table where we've had 1,000 normal conversations, and I told her I needed to know everything. She started from the beginning, and it was so much worse than I imagined. During my drinking months, she said she felt completely abandoned. She'd come home from work to find me passed out on the couch. She was handling everything with the fertility treatments alone, and she had no one to talk to because I had pushed away most of our friends during that time. She said she felt like she was grieving the loss of our future children while also mourning the loss of her husband. The coworker, Sarah, was in HR and about 4 years younger than Lana. They started eating lunch together because Sarah was new and didn't know anyone. Lana said she found herself looking forward to these conversations because it was the only time she felt heard. Sarah would ask how things were going at home, and Lana started opening up about our problems. It started with texting about work stuff, then personal stuff. Sarah was recently divorced, and said she understood what it felt like to be neglected by a partner. They started staying late at work together, going for drinks after difficult days, and Lana said it felt like someone finally saw her as more than just a wife dealing with a drunk husband. I made her tell me about the physical stuff. I know it sounds messed up, but I needed to know. She said it happened regularly over those 3 months, mostly at Sarah's apartment. But then I got sober, started coming home on time, started being present again, started trying to rebuild our marriage. Lana said she realized what she was doing was wrong and that she wanted to save our marriage. She broke it off with Sarah completely, requested the transfer, and even kept screenshots of the messages where she ended things. She showed me the messages on her old phone. Sarah was livid, called her a coward, said she was wasting her life staying with a drunk, said she'd never find someone who understood her like Sarah did. But Lana held firm. She said she knew she'd made a mistake and wanted to focus on us. The hardest part was when she told me about the guilt. She said there were times over the past 4 years when we were happy, adopting the kids, family vacations, anniversaries, and she felt like she was living a lie. She said she almost told me several times but was terrified of destroying our family. I asked her if she was gay or bisexual. She said she honestly doesn't know. She said she's never been attracted to other women before or since, but she can't say it was just the circumstances either. I also asked if she ever thought about Sarah during our intimate moments. She said no, but then she started crying and said that sometimes she felt guilty afterward. She said she sometimes wondered if she was cheating on me again just by remembering what it felt like to be with Sarah. The weirdest part is that I can see how it happened. I was completely absent during that time. I left her to handle everything alone while I wallowed in self-pity. I'm not saying it justifies cheating, but I understand how she ended up there. But what I can't understand is the 4 years of lies. Every "I love you," every anniversary, every family moment was tainted by this secret. She said she convinced herself that since it was over, it didn't matter anymore. That telling me would just hurt me for no reason. I told her I needed more time to process everything. She said she understood and that she'd answer any questions I had. She asked if I thought our marriage could survive this, and I told her I honestly didn't know. The kids have been asking when I'm coming home, and I don't know what to tell them. They're confused and scared, and I hate that they're going through this. My mom says I should consider counseling before making any big decisions. My dad thinks I should leave her, but he's old school about these things. I keep going back and forth. One minute I'm furious and want to file for divorce. The next minute I'm thinking about all the good years we've had since then and wondering if I can learn to live with this. Edit. A lot of you are asking about STD testing. We both got tested after I got sober, routine checkup, and everything was clean. I'm getting tested again just to be sure, and I've asked Lana to do the same. Update 2. Posted 2 months ago. This is probably going to be controversial based on the responses to my last post, but I've made a decision. I want to try to work through this with Lana. Before you all jump down my throat, hear me out. I've been staying with my parents for a month now, and I've had time to really think about everything. I've also been talking to a therapist that my mom recommended, someone who specializes in infidelity recovery. Dr. Martinez has been helping me process everything that happened. The therapist helped me understand a few things. First, the affair happened during the worst period of our marriage when we were both dealing with trauma differently. Second, Lana ended the affair on her own and chose to work on our marriage. Third, the fact that she told me after 4 years when she could have taken it to her grave shows she wants to be honest with me moving forward. I'm not minimizing what she did. The lying for 4 years hurts almost as much as the affair itself, but I also can't ignore the fact that we've had 4 genuinely good years since then. We've raised 2 kids together, we've been happy, we've built a life. Was all of that fake because of this secret? I talked to my parents about it and it didn't go well. My dad was furious when I told him I was considering staying. He said, "Son, she made a fool of you for 4 years. How can you ever trust her again?" My mom was more understanding but still worried. She said, You two survived infertility, your alcoholism, and adoption. You've been through worse things together. But this is different. This is about fundamental honesty. My brother thinks I'm being an idiot, he said. Mike, she didn't just cheat on you. She let you build a life with her while knowing she was living a lie. That's not love, that's selfishness. Even my sister, who usually stays out of family drama, told me she thinks I'm making a mistake. But I also thought about the kids. They're 8 and 10, and they love Lana. She's been their mom for 3.5 years. They've already lost one family. I don't want to be responsible for breaking up another one unless I absolutely have to. I called Lana yesterday and asked if she wanted to try marriage counseling. She started crying and said yes immediately. She said she's been hoping I'd be willing to try but was afraid to ask. She said she'd do anything to earn back my trust. I'm moving back home this weekend, but I told her we need to set some ground rules first. Complete transparency, passwords, phone access, location sharing, everything. She agreed without hesitation. I also want us to start couples counseling within the week. She's already found 3 therapists who specialize in infidelity and made appointments. I told her I want to tell the kids something age-appropriate so they understand why things might be tense for a while. She agreed to that too. We're going to say that we're going through a difficult time and that we're getting help from a professional to work through it. I'm not naive. I know this is going to be hard. I know I'm going to have bad days where I can't look at her without seeing the affair. I know I'm going to have to learn to trust her again, and she's going to have to be patient with that process. But I also know that I still love her. Despite everything, I still love the woman I married. I love the mother she's been to our kids. I love the life we've built together. I don't want to throw that away without trying everything first. We have our first counseling session scheduled for next week. Dr. Martinez said it typically takes 2 to 3 years to fully recover from infidelity, but that couples who do the work often end up stronger than they were before. I'm scared. I'm still angry. I'm still hurt. But I'm also hopeful that we can get through this together. Edit. I know a lot of you think I'm making a mistake. I appreciate everyone's concern, but this is my choice. I'd rather try and fail than always wonder what might have been. My family is still not happy with my decision. My dad said he's disappointed in me and that I'm setting a bad example for the kids. My mom is trying her best to be supportive, but I could tell she's worried. It's causing tension in my family, but I have to do what I think is right. Some of you are asking about Sarah. Part of me wants to reach out to her to get her side of the story, but my therapist strongly advised against it. She said it would only make things worse and that I need to focus on my marriage, not the other woman. Update 3. Posted 1 week ago. I wasn't planning to post again, but this week has been a complete shit show, and I need to get this off my chest. We've been in couples counseling for 8 weeks now, and I thought we were making progress. Then Sarah showed up at our house. Let me back up. The past 2 months have been the hardest of my life. We've been going to counseling twice a week, once together and once individually. I've learned a lot about myself and about our marriage. The therapist helped me understand that while my drinking didn't cause the affair, it created conditions that made it more likely to happen. I've also learned that forgiveness isn't a one-time decision. It's something I have to choose every day, sometimes multiple times a day. There are still moments when I look at Lana and feel that punch to the gut when I remember what she did. But those moments were getting less frequent. Lana has been completely transparent. She gave me all her passwords. She tells me where she's going and when she'll be back, and she's been patient with my questions even when I ask the same things repeatedly. She's also been going to individual therapy to understand why she made the choices she did. We told the kids that we were going through a difficult time and getting help to work through it. They've been amazing, more understanding than we probably deserved. Our 10-year-old Emma asked if we were getting divorced, and I told her we were working hard to make sure that didn't happen. The hardest part has been the intimacy. It took 6 weeks to get back to even holding hands comfortably. We've been intimate 3 times since I moved back home, and it's different now. Not bad, just different. We're both more intentional about it, more present. I thought we were healing. I really did. Then Tuesday happened. I was working from home when the doorbell rang. I opened it and there was this woman I didn't recognize, early 30s, blonde, nervous energy. She said, "Are you Mike?" "I'm Sarah." My blood freaking froze. This was the woman who had an affair with my wife. This was the woman who had been haunting my marriage for 2 months, and she was standing on my doorstep. Before I could say anything, she said, "I need to talk to you about Lana. There are things you don't know." I should have slammed the door in her face. My therapist had specifically told me not to engage with her if she ever reached out, but I couldn't help myself. I let her in. She sat in my living room, the same living room where my kids do homework, where Lana and I have been trying to rebuild our marriage, and she told me things that completely shattered my world again. She said Lana had been lying to me about when the affair ended. According to Sarah, it didn't end 4 years ago when I got sober. It ended 3 years ago after we had already adopted the kids. She said Lana kept seeing her on and off for months after I got sober, and that she only ended it when she realized she was pregnant. Wait, what? Pregnant? Lana was never pregnant. Sarah saw the confusion on my face and said, "She never told you about the pregnancy, did she? She never told you about the abortion." I felt like I was going to throw up. Sarah said that about 3 years ago, Lana found out she was pregnant, and it was from some guy she'd been seeing. She said Lana got an abortion without telling anyone, and that's when she finally ended things with Sarah for good. I couldn't process what I was hearing. Not only had the affair lasted longer than Lana told me, but there was a pregnancy. And another man. How many lies had she been telling me? Sarah said she was sorry for coming to me like this, but that she couldn't stand watching me try to rebuild a marriage based on more lies. She said she'd moved back to town recently and heard through mutual friends that Lana had confessed to the affair. She said she felt guilty that I was forgiving Lana for a watered-down version of the truth. I asked her why I should believe her. She showed me text messages between her and Lana from 3 years ago. Messages talking about the pregnancy test, about the abortion appointment, about how Lana was scared it might not be mine. She had screenshots of everything. After Sarah left, I sat in that living room for hours just staring at the wall. When Lana came home from work, I showed her the messages. She went completely white and started crying. She admitted that Sarah was telling the truth. The affair had lasted longer than she told me. There had been other men, not many, but a few hookups during that extended period when our marriage was falling apart. There had been a pregnancy scare, and yes, she'd gotten an abortion without telling me. I asked her why she lied about this too. She said she was scared that if I knew the full truth, I'd never be able to forgive her. She said she was trying to protect me from unnecessary pain. Protect me? She was only protecting herself. I'm back at my parents' house. I don't know if I can do this anymore. I thought I was forgiving her for an affair, but it turns out I was forgiving her for a fraction of what actually happened. How many more lies are there? How many more secrets? The kids are confused again. Emma asked me why I look sad all the time, and I didn't know what to say. How do you explain to a 10-year-old that the adult world is full of people who lie to the people they're supposed to love most? I have an emergency session with my therapist tomorrow. I don't know what I'm going to do. Edit. Some of you are asking how Sarah found our address. Lana works for a big company and their employee directory is apparently still accessible to former employees. Sarah said she looked it up. Yes, I'm getting tested again. For everything. I should have done this months ago, but I trusted her when she said it was just Sarah. My parents are furious. My dad and my brother both said, "I told you so," which wasn't helpful. My mom just hugged me and said we'll figure it out together. Final update. Posted 2 days ago, I want to thank everyone who followed this story and offered support over the past few months. Your advice, your shared experiences, and your tough love helped me through one of the worst periods of my life. I met with my therapist yesterday after Sarah's visit, and she helped me realize something important. I can't rebuild a marriage on a foundation of lies. Every time I think I know the full truth, another layer of deception gets revealed. After our session, I went home and asked Lana one final time if there was anything else she hadn't told me. Anything at all. She swore there wasn't. She said Sarah was just trying to cause trouble and that she'd told me everything, but I could see it in her eyes. There was still something there, some secret she was still holding on to. I told her I was done. I couldn't do this anymore. I couldn't keep playing detective in my own marriage. I couldn't keep wondering what other bombs were going to drop. She begged me to stay. She said she'd do anything to earn my trust back. She said she'd take a polygraph test if I wanted. She said she'd quit her job, move to another city, whatever it took. But the damage was done, not just from the affair, but from the lies, the continued lies. The fact that even when I was trying to forgive her, she was still lying to me. I'm filing for divorce. I've already talked to a lawyer about custody arrangements. I want shared custody of the kids, and thankfully, because I adopted them, I have the same parental rights as Lana does. The hardest part is telling the kids. We sat them down yesterday and explained that Mommy and Daddy aren't going to be married anymore, but that we both love them very much and that's never going to change. Emma cried and asked if it was because of something she did. It broke my heart. I'm staying with my parents for now while I look for my own place. I want to stay in the same school district so the kids don't have to change schools. Lana can keep the house. I don't want to live there anymore anyway. Too many memories. I'm sad, I'm angry, I'm exhausted, but I'm also relieved. I don't have to wonder anymore. I don't have to wait for the next revelation. I can start rebuilding my life on my own terms. I'm going to be okay. My kids are going to be okay. And maybe someday I'll find someone who values honesty as much as I do. Thank you, Reddit. You helped me through the darkest time of my life. Edit, for those asking about Sarah, I blocked her number and told her not to contact me again. I don't know if she was telling the truth about everything, but it doesn't matter anymore. The kids will be okay. They have two parents who love them, and that's not going to change just because we're not married anymore. We're going to figure out how to co-parent effectively for their sake. I'm glad you found out. I'm tired of pretending. My girlfriend screamed when I caught her cheating with her coworker. She thought she could play us both, but her manipulation finally caught up with her. So, I'm Joe. My girlfriend Shannon and I have been together for 4 years. We moved in together last year, got a cat named Pumpkin, and I honestly thought we were heading toward engagement. She works in marketing at some tech startup downtown, and I'm in IT support. Pretty normal relationship, or so I thought. I've been working from home more lately because of some server upgrades at my company, and Shannon's been staying late at work a lot. Like, really late. She'd come home at 9 or 10 p.m. saying they had big projects and tight deadlines. I didn't think much of it because startups are crazy like that, right? But then she started getting weird about her phone. Like, really weird. She'd take it to the bathroom, sleep with it under her pillow, and get jumpy whenever I walked by while she was texting. She also started picking fights over nothing. I'd leave a dish in the sink and suddenly I'm inconsiderate and don't respect her space. I'd want to watch Netflix together and she'd say I was being suffocating and needed to give her room to breathe. I started walking on eggshells trying to figure out what I was doing wrong. Tuesday night, she fell asleep on the couch after another one of her late work sessions. Her phone was buzzing constantly on the coffee table. I wasn't trying to snoop, but the notifications kept lighting up the screen. The name Martin kept popping up with messages like "miss you already" and "can't wait for tomorrow." My stomach dropped through the floor. Martin is this guy from her work. She's mentioned him before as just a friend from the team. But these messages, they weren't work messages. The next morning, while she was in the shower, I did something I've never done before. I looked at her phone. The messages went back weeks. Sexting, plans to meet up, him saying he loved her saying she loved him too. Pictures I can't get out of my head. Plans to go to hotels during lunch breaks. Him calling me that loser boyfriend and her laughing about it. But the worst part, she was telling him that I was emotionally abusive, that I controlled her and made her feel trapped, that she was finally ready to leave me and they could be together properly soon. I've never laid a hand on her. I've never yelled at her. I've been bending over backwards trying to figure out why she seemed so unhappy, and apparently the reason was that she was sleeping with someone else and painting me as the villain. When she came out of the shower, I was sitting at the kitchen table with her phone. I asked, "Who's Martin?" She went completely white. Then instead of apologizing or explaining, she immediately went on the attack. "You went through my phone. How dare you?" "That's a complete violation of my privacy." I showed her the messages. She couldn't deny them, so she switched tactics. "You made me do this, Joe. You've been distant and cold for months. You never make me feel special anymore. When was the last time you took me on a real date? When was the last time you told me I was beautiful?" I was sitting there, absolutely stunned. She was turning her cheating into my fault. I felt so lonely, Joe. "Martin makes me feel alive again. You've been taking me for granted for so long that I forgot what it felt like to be wanted." I tried to respond, but she just kept going. "And you know what? I'm glad you found out. I'm tired of pretending everything is fine when you clearly don't care about me anymore. At least Martin appreciates me." I couldn't believe what I was hearing. 4 years together, and this was how she was justifying betraying me. By making it my fault. I told her to pack her things and leave. She said she would, but she needed time to figure things out. I said no, she needed to leave today. That's when she started crying and saying I was being cruel and heartless, and that she made a mistake, but I was throwing away 4 years over nothing. She's staying at her sister's place now. Yesterday she posted on Facebook about how true love means accepting people's flaws and working through difficulties together. And some people give up the moment things get hard. "I'm so angry I can barely function. I can't eat. I can't sleep. I keep going over every interaction we've had in the past few months, wondering how I missed this. Was I really that bad of a boyfriend? Did I actually drive her to this? My friends are telling me I dodged a bullet, but it doesn't feel like it. It feels like I've been living with a stranger for months and had no idea. Am I crazy for feeling like this is entirely her fault? Was I really that terrible that she had to go find someone else? I just need to know if I'm taking crazy pills here." Edit. Yes, Pumpkin is still with me. She tried to take the cat too, but I pointed out that I'm the one who pays for everything and my name is on the adoption papers. She wasn't happy about that. Update 1. Posted 2 weeks ago, so after my last post, I thought maybe I'd get some peace to process everything. Shannon had been staying at her sister's place and hadn't contacted me directly, just those passive-aggressive Facebook posts that everyone was telling me to ignore. Last Thursday, she showed up at my apartment at 8 p.m. When I opened the door, she was standing there with flowers and takeout from my favorite Thai place. "Can we talk?" she said. "I think we both said some things we didn't mean." I was so caught off guard that I let her in. Big mistake. She sat down on the couch and started this whole speech about how she'd been thinking about everything and realized we both made mistakes. She said she was sorry for getting close to Martin, but that it never would have happened if I had been more attentive to her needs. "I know what I did was wrong," she said, "but Joe, you have to understand that I was crying out for help. I was trying to tell you for months that I felt disconnected from you and you just didn't hear me." I asked her when she had tried to tell me that. She couldn't give me a specific example. "It wasn't about what I said, it was about what I didn't say. You should have been able to tell I was unhappy." Then she started crying, real tears, not the fake ones from before. And for a moment I actually felt bad for her. This is someone I loved for 4 years and she was sitting in my living room falling apart. But then she said something that snapped me back to reality. "Martin was just a mistake, but I chose you, Joe. I'm here with you, not with him. That has to count for something." I asked her what she meant by chose me. Did she break it off with Martin? She got uncomfortable and said, "It's complicated. We work together, so I can't just completely cut him off. But I told him that I want to work things out with you." "So you're still talking to him? Just as colleagues? Joe, you're being really black and white about this. Adult relationships are complicated. We can't just erase people from our lives." That's when I realized what was happening. She wasn't trying to save our relationship, she was trying to have both. She wanted to keep me as the safe, stable boyfriend while continuing whatever she had with Martin. I told her to leave. She said I was throwing away everything we built together and that she was trying to be honest with me, but I was punishing her for her honesty. I said, "You weren't honest with me. You weren't even honest with him. You told him I was abusive." She stood up and started pacing around my living room like she owned the place. "I never said you were abusive. I said I felt emotionally neglected, which is different. I pulled out my phone and started reading her messages to Martin. The exact words where she called me controlling and emotionally abusive, where she said she was done with this relationship and ready to start fresh with him. She went quiet for a minute, then said, "Those messages were taken out of context. I was venting. Everyone vents about their relationship sometimes. Venting is complaining about me leaving dishes in the sink. This is planning to leave me while calling me abusive to justify your affair." She started crying again, but this time it felt different, more manipulative. "I can't believe you're being so cruel to me. I made a mistake, but I'm here trying to fix it. Doesn't that mean anything to you? Don't you love me enough to fight for us?" I looked at her sitting there in my apartment, asking me to fight for a relationship she'd already destroyed. And I realized that this wasn't the woman I fell in love with. Maybe she never was. "I did fight for us," I said. "Every day for the past 4 months when you were picking fights with me and making me feel like shit. I fought for us when you started acting like I was the worst person in the world for wanting to spend time with you. I fought for us while you were sleeping with someone else." She got mad again. "Fine. I can see you've already made up your mind. I guess 4 years means nothing to you. 4 years meant everything to me. That's why this hurts so much." She grabbed her purse and headed for the door, but before she left she turned around and said, "You know what? Martin was right about you. You are emotionally unavailable and cruel. I hope you're happy being alone." Then she slammed the door. I sat there for about an hour just staring at the wall. Pumpkin came over and jumped on my lap, and I realized that even my cat was more loyal than she was. The next day, she posted on Facebook, "Sometimes you have to accept that some people can't handle real love. It's scary to be vulnerable and admit your mistakes, but it's scarier to be with someone who won't forgive you for being human." I blocked her on everything after that. I should have done it weeks ago. My buddy Chris came over that weekend with beer. It felt good to remember that I have friends who actually give a damn about me. But I'm still angry. I'm angry that she made me doubt myself for months. I'm angry that she's probably telling everyone who will listen that I'm the one who destroyed our relationship. I'm angry that 4 years of my life feel like they were based on a lie. I'm also scared. If I could be so wrong about someone I lived with for a year, how am I supposed to trust anyone again? Edit. For everyone asking about Martin, apparently he's married. Shannon knew this. I found out through a mutual friend. This just keeps getting better. Update 2, posted 1 week ago. I thought it was over. I really did. After blocking her on everything, I figured she'd move on with Martin and I could start healing. I was wrong. So first, some context from the past week. I started packing her belongings, claiming back my space. You know, the work. I was feeling pretty good about my progress. I even went on a date last weekend, just coffee with a friend of a friend. Nothing serious, but it felt good to remember that there are decent people out there. But then Tuesday happened. Shannon showed up at my office. My freaking office. She somehow got past security and was sitting in the lobby when I came back from lunch. "We need to talk," she said. I told her to leave or I'd call security. She said she would, but first she wanted to clear the air because she'd been hearing things about what I'd been telling people. Apparently, my friend Chris had mentioned something to his girlfriend, who mentioned it to her friend, who mentioned it to Shannon's sister. "You know how it goes. You're telling people I'm a cheater," she said. "That's not what happened and you know it." I stared at her. "What do you call sleeping with someone else while you're in a relationship then?" "I call it making a mistake while I was in a bad place emotionally. But you're making it sound like I'm some kind of serial cheater who planned this whole thing. You literally planned hotel meetings with him." That was just fantasy. We only actually did anything twice. Only twice. Like that made it better. She went on to say that she was concerned about my mental health because I was obsessing over this and spreading lies about her character. She said she was worried I was having a breakdown and that maybe I should talk to someone. I told her even if that was really the case, I didn't need her care. Then I called the security. Security finally came and escorted her out. My boss was cool about it, but I was mortified. But wait, it got worse. That night she posted on Facebook, Not tagged to me since I'd blocked her, but mutual friends started sending me screenshots. It's been a difficult few weeks as I've been dealing with the end of a long-term relationship. I've been trying to handle this privately, but I feel like I need to speak up because lies are being spread about me. I made a mistake. I got close to someone while I was in a very dark place emotionally. I was not getting the support I needed at home, and I made a bad decision. I immediately regretted it and tried to fix things, but my ex has decided to punish me by turning our mutual friends against me and spreading his version of events. I've been painted as a villain for having human emotions and making a mistake while I was struggling. I'm sharing this because I believe in honesty and accountability. I accept responsibility for my actions, but I won't accept being demonized for being human. I hope someday he can find it in his heart to forgive me, but until then, I'm focusing on healing and moving forward. But the comments were what really got to me. People who didn't know the whole story were commenting things like, "You deserve better," and "his loss," and "some people can't handle real love." I was shaking when I read it. She was literally playing the victim publicly while making it sound like I was the one being unreasonable. I thought she was being dramatic, but then yesterday happened. I came home from work to find Shannon sitting in her car outside my apartment building. When she saw me, she got out and started following me to the door. "I'm not stalking you," she said. "I just want to talk." I told her to leave me alone. She said she would, but she'd been thinking about everything and realized I was right about some things, and she wanted to take full responsibility for her actions. I kept walking. She kept following. "I ended things with Martin," she said. "Completely. I blocked him on everything. I even asked HR to move me to a different team so I wouldn't have to work with him anymore." I stopped walking. "You asked HR to move you?" "Well, I told them we had a personal relationship that ended badly and it was creating a hostile work environment. They moved me to a different department. I protected myself, like you told me to." I couldn't believe it. She destroyed this guy's career because she was mad at me. "Shannon, that's insane. He's married. You could have ruined his life. He should have thought of that before he took advantage of me." "Took advantage of you? You were literally planning to leave me for him." I was confused. I was in a vulnerable place and he manipulated me. I started walking toward my building again. She grabbed my arm. "Don't touch me," I said. "I'm trying to show you that I'm serious about fixing this. I gave up everything for you. I destroyed my career prospects at my company. I cut off the only person who made me feel good about myself. I'm doing everything you wanted me to do." I looked at her hand on my arm and something clicked. This wasn't about getting me back. This was about control. She couldn't handle that I'd walked away from her. "I never asked you to do any of that," I said. "I asked you to leave me alone." "The relationship is over." That's when she snapped. "You know what? Screw you, Joe. I tried to be the bigger person here. I tried to work things out, but you're too proud and too stubborn to admit that you played a role in this too." She was still holding my arm and I pulled away from her. "I'm documenting everything," she said. "All of this. How you've been treating me. How you've been spreading lies about me. How you've been harassing me." "I've been harassing you," I repeated, stunned. "You turned our friends against me. You stole my cat. And now you're acting like I'm some kind of stalker for trying to save our relationship." I had heard enough. I walked into my building and she followed me to the elevator. The elevator doors closed with her still yelling at me through the glass. "I'm calling a lawyer tomorrow. This is beyond anything I can handle on my own." Edit: I'm also installing security cameras. A few of you have suggested this and I think it's a good idea. A lot of people are asking about Martin. From what I heard, he's getting divorced. Apparently his wife found out about the affair and Shannon's complaint to HR made it impossible for him to deny. Final update. Posted 3 days ago. First, the good news. Shannon is out of my life. Permanently. The lawyer I hired sent her a cease and desist letter, and she's finally stopped trying to contact me. No more fake accounts, no more showing up places, no more manipulative Facebook posts. It's been radio silence for 2 weeks now. But let me tell you how we got here, because the last confrontation was something else. Remember how I said I was installing security cameras? Best decision I ever made. Because 3 days after my last update, she showed up at my apartment again, this time with backup. I was having a peaceful Saturday morning when there was a knock. Through the peephole, I saw Shannon standing there with Martin, the guy she'd been cheating with. I didn't answer, just watched as Shannon knocked again, then started talking to the door. "Joe, I know you're in there." I brought Martin so we could all talk like adults and clear the air. Martin looked like he wanted to be anywhere else. He kept checking his phone and shifting uncomfortably. "This affects all of us," Shannon continued. "We need to resolve this properly." I started recording on my phone when I heard her say to Martin, "See, he won't even face us." This is exactly the kind of emotional immaturity I was dealing with. That's when I opened the door. "What do you want, Shannon?" She looked surprised I'd actually answered. Martin took a step back. "We want to clear up some misunderstandings," Shannon said. "Martin has something to tell you." I looked at Martin. He was pale and clearly uncomfortable. "Look, man, I just want to say that he's sorry," Shannon interrupted. "We both are, but we also want you to understand what really happened." "I know what happened. You cheated." Martin finally spoke up. "It wasn't supposed to happen like this. Shannon told me you guys were basically over, that you were emotionally checked out and she was planning to break up with you anyway." I stared at Shannon. "Is that what you told him?" "I told him the truth about our relationship problems." "So you lied to both of us?" Shannon's mask slipped for just a second. I saw that scared little girl expression again, but then she recovered. "I didn't lie. Our relationship was over in everything but name. You know that." Martin looked between us. "Shannon, you said he was controlling and wouldn't let you leave." "I never said that," she snapped. "That's not. You're misremembering." "I'm not misremembering." "You said he was emotionally abusive and you were scared to leave him." Martin stepped back. "Jesus Christ, Shannon, none of that was true. It was how I felt at the time. You made me feel like I was rescuing you from an abusive relationship," Martin shouted. That's when it all clicked. Shannon hadn't just cheated, she'd created an entire false narrative to justify it. She'd painted me as abusive to Martin to make herself the victim, then painted Martin as a manipulator to make herself the victim with me. "You played us both," I said. Shannon started crying. "That's not fair. I was confused and unhappy and made mistakes, but I never meant to hurt anyone." Martin was shaking his head. "My wife left me because of this. My kids won't talk to me, and you lied about everything." "I didn't lie. I felt trapped and scared, and you felt trapped, so you cheated instead of having an adult conversation. So you told anyone who would listen that your boyfriend was controlling and abusive. He jabbed a finger at me, that he monitored your phone and isolated you from friends." I stared at both of them. "I never did any of that." Martin turned on Shannon. "What the hell is wrong with you?" Shannon was full on sobbing now. "I was unhappy. I felt alone. I needed someone to understand. I'd heard enough. You need to leave, both of you." Martin was already heading for the stairs. "I'm done with this insanity." Shannon tried to follow him. "Martin, wait, let me explain." "Explain what? How you lied about everything, how you destroyed my marriage for nothing." He was gone. Shannon stood there for a moment looking completely lost. Then she turned back to me. "This is your fault," she said quietly. "If you just fought for us, none of this would have happened. If I'd fought for us. If you'd cared enough to fix our problems instead of just giving up the moment things got hard." I stared at her. "Shannon, you cheated on me for months. You lied to your affair partner about me being abusive. You stalked me at work. You created fake social media accounts. You tried to take my cat. And you're still saying this is my fault." She had no answer. "Get help, Shannon, real help, from a professional." She left without another word. That was 4 days ago. Haven't heard from her since, but I've been hearing about her. Chris told me that Shannon's sister Amy has been telling people the truth about what really happened. Apparently Amy had decided she couldn't keep covering for Shannon anymore. Half their mutual friends now know Shannon was cheating and lying about me being abusive. Her work situation got even worse. After Martin's wife found out about the affair and Shannon's false HR complaint, Martin's lawyer got involved. Turns out filing a knowingly false harassment claim is grounds for termination. Shannon got fired 3 days ago. As for me, Emma and I are taking things slow, but she's amazing. She's patient with me while I work through my trust issues, and she doesn't try to rush me into anything. She's the opposite of Shannon in every way, honest, straightforward, and secure in herself. Pumpkin is doing great. She's actually more affectionate now that the tension in the apartment is gone. Cats are smart. She knew something was wrong before I did. I'm free, I'm happy, and I'm never looking back. Thanks for everything, Reddit. You saved my sanity.